Hello, it is just me here by myself. I'm very busy today and tomorrow, and just want to talk a little bit while I have the time. So, as of right now, it is the middle of day 2. It is 25 hours into the day, it looks like. I just made this really long post here where I outline these cases about me and Prometheus, so I just want to briefly talk about that, as I said, while I'm here. So this idea occurred to me last night when I was thinking about the game, and that I think I could prove Prometheus' innocence if I outlined these 4 scenarios and determined which are most likely and which are stupid. So, I mean, the main thing to notice is that there's 4 scenarios here concerning Prometheus and mind alignment. Scenario 3 is the one that does not make sense, where I'm town and Prometheus' mafia, because then Sandroba wouldn't have pushed onto Prometheus. He would have just pushed onto me and guaranteed that I would have been lynched that day, most likely. Then the second most unlikely scenario is where we both are mafia. This does not make a lot of sense because this means I was blessing my teammate from the start of the day. Well, not the start, but halfway through the day, when I could have just easily pushed on Wave of Shadow or just gone after someone else. There's been no reason for me to bring that much attention to one of my mafia teammates. Also, it doesn't make much sense for Sandroba's vote either. He could have just tossed it onto a Holy Flare and just been like, that guy is so mafia, even though he wants to be replaced. So this as a mafia team does not make very much sense on the whole. And so the only cases where the town has to consider is the one where I'm mafia and Prometheus' town, or the one where we're both town. So this scenario is the only one that town actually has to be worried about, which is why I'm still trying to defend myself, because I think there is some reasons to think that, even though it definitely can be shown that we are both town in this scenario. So either way, regardless of what town thinks of me, this should say that Prometheus is town either way. So I made sure to outline that in my post as well. So hopefully people will be on board and can see that. If anything here, if I could prove, like, even if they just want to run down the rabbit hole and kill me for whatever stupid reason they got in their head, at least if I could say that Prometheus is town, that might be able to save them some stress later on. And then the also thing is to take note of this paragraph that I wrote here. It's very important, and I think like being able to analyze this sort of thing is what separates good mafia players from bad ones. And that analyzing what Sandroba was doing at this time is at the time that he voted for Prometheus. So if we go to Sandroba's filter and look at his case on Prometheus. So, like, the first thing you notice is that, like, he does bring some new information to the thread, and I did say that at the time. Like, his analysis here and looking at his past filter is definitely something that nobody else had brought up yet, which is good and does make him town. But then the key thing to note is that since we already know that Sandroba is mafia, is what he trying to accomplish by making with this post. In that, so he comes in and he's just like, I'm 95% that he's town, like, here is why, and I'm gonna vote for him. And then, like, that's pretty much all he says. Like, he's mafia, and that's the end of that. There's no, like, real conviction or convincing. I think that's the most important part. Like, if Sandroba was actually town, like, he would be trying to convince people, not just saying, yep, the man is scum. GG. Furthermore, since he's mafia, if he was trying to push an agenda, he would be convincing in some way. Like, say Prometheus is mafia and he's trying to save his buddy. It wouldn't just be like, yep, guy's mafia. Like, you know, he'd be trying to save him. Furthermore, if he's trying to save me, he would, like, be pushing this more to try to save me. But he didn't. So what does that say about Sandroba? Well, he was just tossing his vote down to toss his vote down. And that he perceived as mafia, that nothing bad was happening with the lynch. And that's what I was trying to get at. With this going on, is that, or in this scenario, is that the mafia were very, very happy with how the votes were. Is that I had 3 and Prometheus had 3. In that scenario, the mafia were very happy and they didn't see the need to do anything. Maybe the mafia were AFK that day, like if Wave of Shadow, he was gone during lunchtime. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe both mafia were there. Either way, is that there wasn't a push off them because mafia didn't need to push off them. And then furthermore, since we know that this vote is just so lazily cast, you know, it doesn't really try to convince anyone, and he could have, like, what more do I need to say? Well, there's a lot to say, right? And you could go look through more filters, go not only this game, but his past games as well. There's a lot you could do. There's always more you could say. For him to just, say like, yep, he's gone. I could talk about it, but, once he's gone, then we'll talk about it, That's a lazy vote. There's no conviction behind it. So it's just like, what is he thinking at the time? What is Mafia saying? We know he's Mafia. What is he thinking, and why did he do that? That's how you know what's going on. So, first thing. So what I outlined here is like, he's analyzing this from both scenarios about whether or not what will happen with the lynch. So he drops his vote on Promethilax and says, let's say that foolishness, myself, gets lynched. Well, he could just push on Promethilax the following day and just tell the guys, like, dude, I don't know what you guys are doing lynching foolishness. He's like the best gun hunter in the world. We just lynched Promethilax now. GG, right? Very easy to say that. Or second, let's say that Promethilax gets lynched, and like after he flips down, he could just be like, oh, well, oops, I really fucked that up. You're right, foolishness is Mafia. Let's just kill him. Like, foolishness definitely did that, was misleading the town in the bad lynch, and then he could just push to get me lynched the next day. And in both scenarios, Mafia is sitting pretty. So that's why Mafia were very happy with this lynch, because if one of us dies and flips town, the town is just going to straight look to the other, and Mafia knows that both of them are town. If I die and flip town, Promethilax top suspect. Promethilax dies and flips town, I'm top suspect. So Mafia were very happy with what was going on, and they didn't feel the need to do anything about it. And I think that's why this vote was so lazily cast. Even though it was close to the deadline, he could have pushed this harder and just been like, you guys are dumb. You gotta vote this guy. Foolishness is town. There could have been conviction and pushing, but there wasn't, because he was very happy with what's going on. Furthermore, so just going back a little bit, trying to find something by Wave of Shadow. I think 64, not 66. He did come in and post this, and I did find this post really odd when he made it. I did read this last night, though. I did think about it. It just feels a little forced, I guess. I mean, it's good he has confidence, right? And I'm fine with that, but I don't know. It feels like he came here and had to post something, and this is what came out. And I don't know. If there are people around, I'd love to talk to you. But it might be difficult to do two things at once. I don't know. At least when I've read this last night, I felt maybe I don't feel this way so much anymore. But last night when I read this, my first reaction was just like, this post seems weird. Never fear, Wave is here. Like, why are you saying that? That's a strange kind of attitude, and this sort of thing with utmost confidence that he's not getting lynched. This seems like a deviation from what his attitude was on day one, and even at the beginning of night one, none of this kind of attitude really came out through his posting. So this kind of change in attitude is suspicious. That's why I noticed it. I also did read his long post, and so obviously I disagree with this stuff. So first he's talking about Viscera eyes, and that he considers him town, that's fine, I guess. So like, maybe he does bring up some good points, but I think on the whole, so there's 1, 2, and then here in the Promethilax, which I strongly disagree with. But on the whole, even without considering the stuff I wrote about Promethilax, I would definitely say that, like, these posts are good, but they're not great, and that I could see both town and Mafia writing something like this, like all these 4 posts that he made. Yeah, here's the last one. So I don't think there's really too much to read into that. You could look back through and try to find arguments, because sure, maybe he does bring up points, but I don't think it definitely points to him being town or Mafia one way or the other. But you could still read them for good posts. I just wouldn't consider them if I was going to be making, writing a 10-page paper about why he's Mafia. I would probably just mention that. It's just like, maybe he does bring some good arguments, but at the same time, some of the things he says are not quite true. Especially this Promethilax is scummy. Hopefully, if he's town with my logic that I've just brought forth to the table, it should make sense on the last page. And so, if I can't convince him that Promethilax If I'm able to convince him that Prometheus is town and he changes his raid, then he might be town. If he doesn't budge on this, then I don't know. I would have to say he's probably Mafia. It is strange that he calls VE town as well. I'm not sure really what to make of that. Like, VE and him are the top two suspects. If this game is really easy, then they're both Mafia, and this game is going to be over soon. It's not likely to be the case, but it's still strange. Before you post, you might want to read previous posts, saving you effort and humility. Also might down the line. This is kind of upsetting, though. Maybe he's actually Mafia. Kidman's kind of like this questionable guy in that he could fit with the Mafia team. You consider, like, you know, I were to tell you one of VE and Wave of Shadow is Mafia, one is Town. I would guess Wave of Shadow is Mafia, VE is Town, just with nothing else to go on. Then who fits as the remaining Mafia member? Well, it's either Toad or Kidman. And, you know, Kidman could fit in as a Mafia member here. Don't think it's likely. Let's check the Sandroba. This is a document that my Shadow compiled. It is very, very good. It's establishing connections between Sandroba and the other players in the game. So there's this interaction between Kid and Sandroba. Kidman immediately called him out, and Kidman did vote for Sandroba. Oh, twice. He voted for Sandroba twice. So it's definitely Sandroba has no problem with Kidman, but Kidman seems to have a very big problem with Sandroba. This is just on day one, remember? Because Sandroba is still alive, obviously. And Kidman pushes hard for Sandroba, so just based on that, you could probably say, well, now that I know that Sandroba is Mafia, it doesn't seem likely Kidman is Mafia, because why was he bringing all this attention for Sandroba? Like, even voting for him twice? Pretty risky thing to do on day one, especially since I know I'm Town. Why not get him and just push on me? Probably guarantee a mislynch there. So, that's my reason for thinking Kidman Town. Toad is still kind of a mystery at this point. I have not read his filter. I'll probably do that either today or tomorrow morning before the lynch, but he could definitely fit as a remaining Mafia member. As for the other four people, so that's these four in Gonza. If one of them currently, if I think they're all Town because they're all the ones that voted for Sandroba. If it turns out that one of them is Mafia, which it would be a little far-fetched, but not too far-fetched. I could see that happening. I would guess just straight off the bat that it's Marvelocity. I think Prometheus is Town based on my post. If Gonza is Mafia, he probably deserves an award for doing this awesome as Mafia. But him and Austin also started the switch on Sandroba. There's no reason to do that. Austin said in the thread that he liked me as Town. If he's Mafia, he would have just pushed on Prometheus instead of going with Gonza onto Sandroba. Doesn't make sense for him to follow Gonza if Austin is Mafia with Sandroba. Doesn't make Gonza to start the bandwagon on Sandroba when he could have just piled onto Prometheus with me. Prometheus voted for Sandroba. He did not hammer it, but hammered it 1 minute later, so probably thought he hammered it. And I just really don't see that happening. Furthermore, I was after Prometheus, and there wasn't a hard push against him. Based on how the votes went when Sandroba voted, it's probably likely that Prometheus is Town as well. So that just kind of leaves Marvelocity. If one of those four is Mafia, I will go with Marvelocity. I don't think it's Mafia at this point, just because he did vote, and voted at a crucial time. But I was suspicious of him on day one, said that, like, you know, it feels like he's here, but he's not here kind of thing. Just like, he's posting, but is he posting? And, like, that's just kind of a feel that I have. It's more of a gut feel. I haven't looked at him closely enough. And when someone even brought up one of his filters to his past games, I even said that, like, oh, well, I really got nothing to say against that. That makes Marvelocity look Town. And yeah, this is just my read on him. It's just more of a feel of how I think he's playing and behaving. I would not. I'm not a gut reader personally, so I would not follow that to the end of the earth. I would definitely analyze him before I was ever to make a case against him. But I would probably never make a case against him unless Toad, Kidman, Viscera, Eyes, and Shadow were all dead, and somehow I'm still alive. Not likely to happen, though. This guy's about to embarrass himself, but that's okay. Alright, so I think that's all I have for right now. I did read the thread, not some points, so the last time I posted was page 65 or 66, I think 65. Or I had caught up to there, and I got back and there's 12 new pages to read, which was a lot. I did kind of read it. Most of the pages I didn't feel held any content. Wave of Shadow was just arguing with people, notably Gonza and Marvelocity. Didn't really say that. I didn't really gather all that much from there. I don't think there was that much to gather. They're just arguing in circles about stuff, and then people were running down the conspiracy train about whether I'm Mafia or not, whether I'm Mafia with Promethalax as well. Doesn't make a lot of sense. So people are going down the rabbit hole in terms of conspiracy theories. It's definitely not good for the town, but I don't think the town's in a bad spot right now. I'm like, no matter, his arguments are probably going to be really bad here, and he's probably only going to incriminate himself, which I hope he doesn't do, because we have the interactions to say he's probably town, because he went after Sandrover on day one. So I hope that doesn't distract the town more. But I still think the town's in a great spot. I'd be really surprised if Wave of Shadow or VE did not get lynched today. Though I also almost got lynched yesterday, so I probably shouldn't say that, because I'm probably jinxing it. And they're all going to kill me. But I think also that, so maybe lots of players have kind of this doubt in mind about what I'm doing this game and whether I'm Mafia or not. I think at this point, though, it's probably not worth it to kill me. It seems like a long run kind of mistake, even though it might answer some questions. It's hard for me to judge this because I'm obviously biased because I'm myself, or I am foolishness, but trying to get into their heads of what they're thinking about me. So I definitely see, like, in their heads, there's some question marks about me. It's just like, what am I doing? Why have I done these things? You know, people have pointed out some things. It's just like, oh, I said Holy Flares Mafia, but then just kind of, like, let that go. It's just like I did, but I don't read too much into people getting replaced out. And, you know, later on, when I did go back, someone else also on here mentioned that he thought he was town. I went back and read it and said, okay, maybe I can actually see this guy as town. And so I didn't push that. And, yeah, that's a good point. And I didn't. I mean, I know the reason why, but to them, I really never said anything about it. And so that's why I'm thinking it. And so I'm trying to think about this to get in their mindset. But yeah, so for them, there's like some question marks. Like, they see my name and there's like 2 or 3 question marks hovering over it. And like, that kind of doubt's not good, because it's just like, well, based on the votes, I should probably be town. But like, those question marks are still lingering, and maybe I haven't done quite enough as they expect to prove that. And so I think, like, lynching based on those question marks, like, Kidman has a question mark over his head for me, right? Just like I was talking about earlier, maybe he could fit in some of the Mafia teams. Not likely. But you don't want to lynch people based on the question mark, right? It's just like, Wave of Shadow has question marks, yes, but, like, his name's also half red, right? Because there's all this good stuff about him. Same with VE, right? Even though maybe initially I might think VE is town, there's still, his name is half in red. My name is not in red, my name is just black and just has a bunch of question marks. A lot of question marks, sure, I give you. But definitely I think in their situation, if they're thinking long term, then they should not want to lynch me here. Because it's not really going to, it will solve those questions, it'll make everyone feel better, but it won't get them anywhere. Like, once I die, how much closer are they going to be to figuring out who's Mafia? Well, 0, right? If after I flip town, what's going to happen? Well, they're going to go back and lynch Wave of Shadow and VE. Essentially, lynching me just confirmed that there's no conspiracy theory going on, right? And that's bad, especially since there could be a conspiracy theory where, like, Marvelocity is scum, and one of the scum actually did voted for Sandrova. And it could have been, like, him bussing because he's been AFK. That's not so far-fetched. It's far-fetched, but not so far-fetched. Stranger things have happened in Mafia games. And I think, like, I'm slightly worried about that conspiracy theory. Like, I said this in my long post here. that the town wins if these 4 people die. And I will stand by that until all 4 people die and the game is not over. Though I think town might run out of lynches, almost run out of lynches at that point. But I'm pretty confident this is what will happen. If there is some conspiracy theory, then I'm definitely not the ones that's going to fit the bill. Some stuff. Probably not important. I should finish this off. So yeah, by lynching me just to like reaffirm their question marks, it's not helping them find Mafia. And if on somehow I did flip Mafia, then they're just gonna go through the same 4 people probably. It's just like if I'm Mafia, then like most of the people who voted for me were town. Those same people also voted on the Sandro switch. The ones that didn't were these guys. And so, like, they're going to kill Toad first, probably, and then probably going to take a nice hard look at Kidman, and if that doesn't work, they'll kill them, right? So essentially, for the town, it's like the same strategy. If they lynch me, and regardless of what I flip, they're going to start lynching them. If they don't lynch me, they're going to start lynching them. And so, it should be easy to see that lynching me is not the right case, because the follow-up is exactly the same. Whereas when you start lynching these, depending on who flips what, you know whether to lynch me or not. Like, if Wave of Shadow flips Mafia, then obviously I should be even more confirmed town than I am. If one of these two, if Wave of Shadow flips town and Viscera Eyes flips Mafia, then that should also help since they are my top 2 suspects. I would probably defend Kidman for a little bit at least until the rest of the people died and the game wasn't over. So I think depending on if the town starts lynching these people, depending on who flips what, that'll show where my true intentions are. If 2 towns flip in a row and it seems like I'm misleading the town, then they're going to take a hard look at me, and that should confirm me. If Mafia keep dying, if another Mafia flips in the next 2 days, then you know I'm telling the truth. So if you think long term like that, it's definitely not in the town's best interest to lynch me now, even though it would help confirm all those question marks, because my name is Black. There are people, Wave of Shadow, his name's half red, gotta go for that. Don't lynch people just because you're worried about what happened. Do what's best for town. And make sure you're thinking long term. Just like if he flips this, who am I lynching next? If he flips this other role, who am I lynching next? And when you think about those long term plans, then your lynches will be much, much better for the town. And for the Mafia as well, when you are Mafia. I don't want to. I could want to respond to that, but I don't know if I want to. I do kind of want to troll him and say something mean, but I said I wouldn't do that at the start of the game, so I'm trying not to do that. Tell him that he's bad at this game, but that's okay. As I said above, you want to run on the down the conspiracy theory hole. And there's a little evidence proving my innocence. That's cool. Use the tab. I win games. That is slightly BM. I probably should not have said that. That's okay. And I guess as last thing before I go, so Kidman did make this long post. Aw, cute dog. But he brought mostly... He made a long post during the night about... During the night, should be earlier than that. About the votes and what went down. I kind of... Yeah, here it is. So I'm going to read this closely. I kind of skimmed through it the first time. The reason being because by now I had already made 2 posts about the votes and said a lot of information, and I felt like he's just kind of repeating what I'm saying. But I will sit here and make sure. Also doesn't speak volumes for him. It's good that he made his post. If he's just repeating I'm information, it doesn't say anything about his alignment. Yes. Maybe. Pretty rare to see. Right. That's right, that's what I said. Yep, also said. Yep. Yep. How about Holly voted for Mytholox? I don't recall that happening. Yep, already said that. Strong Town Read and Happa, I did 2. This was before Happa flipped, keep in mind. I'm just going to quote this post. Slightly trolly thing to do, but it will actually accomplish what I'm trying to accomplish. I'm going to try something new with you. When we all watch this stream, we're going to forget this part happened, because my goal this game is to be clear and concise and not be a troll. So this post is just going to be repressed from everyone's mind, and we're going to forget that it ever happened. Instead of trying to prove to you that I am innocent, using my own words and logic, I'm going to do it with your own logic, with your own words and logic, and information that probably logic. Then I'll still say that. I will start with paragraph I quoted. Then, even if I still think I am Mafia, I have indisputable it's hard. Disputable evidence you are mentally insane. Heart. a bad opinion of me. Because I'm a nice person. Okay, interesting. 5 people not voting. Suspicious person not voting. Semi-suspicious person not voting. It's not a simple question. Amendments. What? Really? Twice. Push this case. Let's see. Just like he switched off. Should probably go find that, but sometimes laziness does prevail. I believe he switched off that because, you know, he doesn't feel good about lynching someone who's getting replaced or AFK. I kind of feel the same way too, so I could understand that. I think that's what he was getting at. I hope I'm right. So I said it to you and Toad. As early in the game on day 1, I said I thought Viserys was town because when I read through his filter, I didn't really feel like he had an agenda going for him. Like, sure, he doesn't have anything good going for him, like nothing incredibly pro-town, like not actively pushing a case, you know, not responding to important questions, strangely being absent during lynch time when he's known for being a more active player. Yeah, so bad stuff going for him, but at the same time, I never felt like he was pushing an agenda, and I guess, I don't know, in that sense I got a more towny vibe from his posts. That just looks like he's trying to figure things out and maybe just kind of being stupid along the way. Whereas I would have thought, you know, if he was Mafia, he would have been trying to get something done. At least something. But for Mafia, if he's Mafia this game, he played a very passive day 1 game. Which, I mean, makes sense near the end of the day during the votes, but I guess just knowing Viserys, I would expect that he would have been a more active person. Guess it depends on who his scum buddy is, but like Sandro is not a terribly active player, at least not usually. So if he's going to be the role of the active Mafia player, then I expect him to be similar to Gonza in a way. You know, here, pushing something, just like trying to get something done, just on townies instead of Mafia. And so that's just the vibe I got from his post. I mean, he could still very well be Mafia, and I could be wrong about that. You know, as I said, there's a number of things that he does not have going for him. You know, being absent, not pushing a case, you know, not responding to important questions, kind of not being in conversation on the whole. Like, and that's a good case against him, right? But that's just a feel I have. You know, that's why I will lynch Wave of Shadow first, for sure, before I would lynch VE. But if the rest of the town said that I'm wrong about Wave of Shadow and they want to lynch VE, I would gladly move my vote to VE. Okay. Alright, so that's probably good for now. It is late. I need to go eat something and make dinner. So I may or may not be back tonight. Hopefully I will be able to do something tomorrow before lynch time. As I did say in one of my posts, this is kind of a busy next few days for me. But I will try to make something work. Alrighty.